There's something that is as reassuring as the rising sun. Low-paying clients are going to come after your life. I always remind my clients, I'm not a thief. If you want your money back, irrespective of what the scale of work that has been done, if you want your money back, I'm more than willing to give you. Designers read. If you don't read as a designer, you're just execution muscle.
Is that a sub?
Yes. You are outsourcing your brain. And the only thing you only know is pixel perfect discussions.
Thank you to our sponsor, Simplified UX, for sponsoring this episode. Are you a designer looking to improve your design skills? Or do you already have commendable design skills, but you somehow don't know your stance in design theories? Or have you ever wished for a questionnaire that could help you test your design knowledge? That's where Simplified UX comes in. Simplified UX is your best bet at testing your design knowledge. Simplified UX is a platform that aims at helping designers to be more knowledgeable in what they do, as well as improving their design skills. If you've ever wished for a questionnaire that could help you test your design knowledge, simply log on to simplifiedux.com to join a pool of design talents who are actually polishing their design skills and knowledge. Interestingly, there are actually recruiters on Simplified UX who can actually notice your skill and help you learn good design rules. Simply log into app.simplifiedux.com and use my discount code DSP25 to get a 25% discount when you subscribe. Link in the description below. Leye, you're welcome back to another episode on the Designstration podcast.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for not getting tired of having me.
It's a pleasure to have you here. It's a pleasure to have you here. Today, we want to discuss on the business of design.
Okay.
Right. We are not just talking about the practical aspects of knowing how to use the software and understanding the principles and the basics of design, but taking it a step further. And we're talking about the money aspect, the marketing, the strategy, the brand positioning, basically everything that evolves around the business of design. And let me start off by saying quite a number of designers, again, let's use Nigeria as a case study. This is our country.
Yeah.
Quite a number of designers that we know in Nigeria, a large percentage, in as much as I do not have statistics on a very accurate level, but a large percentage would agree that YouTube was our platform, main source of, drawing, and that's where we started. And on YouTube, we practically learned the practicals. We learned the theory and we started practicing. We learned how to use the software, how to, basically, and the likes of that. And we kept practicing. For some, it wasn't about making money. It was about fun. We're enjoying, we're exploring, and we loved it. Now, you can do this? Yes, I can. Wow, I love it. Help me do this. How much do you charge? Now there's a struggle, because there's no business structure per se. And some have been able, we are grateful for the likes of you as well and others who, in as much as they started out on the practical aspect and the theoretical aspect, they've been able to launch into the business part of it. Now, let's start this conversation from this point. What's the way forward from here? Knowing that we have quite a number of good designers, what's the way forward to learn and bring in the business of design?
Okay, so I'd say quite a number of things were easy for me. My response would be again contextual because of my own story, which may not apply to a lot of persons. From where we are currently in the design landscape that I can speak for, we may not still be able to charge or might not know how to charge yet, except and until we go outside of the country and see what our contemporaries are charging for. We still have to factor in purchasing power parity. Sorry for bringing the economy thing, but knowing that we're in a different economy and knowing what purchasing power means in different economy will allow you to scale down what you should charge. And sometimes you know what to charge for if you were to be employed. Or one trick I told a friend is, he was going to be employed by an organization outside the country. He looked at the price they wanted to pay him and then converted it to Naira. And said if he's freelancing and he's going to be designing at least 3 times a week for a month, he just divided the total salary by that and said that should be the minimum he will charge. That is based on the scope of the work. If the work is higher than in scope, he will charge higher than that. So that was the trick for him. For other people, it's quite different. They look at the hourly rate on for their level of design on Upwork.
Okay.
And then when they look at our hourly rate, they estimate how much time it will take them to complete the project, and they multiply by that hourly rate. They bring it to hours and they multiply by that rate. And that's how they're able to get a ballpark of what they would, or an estimate of what they would charge. So those are some of the tricks people employ. And sometimes people just ask their contemporaries who are working, that, oh, how much will you charge for so and so? But know that the amount you're going to charge for the work you do, especially as a freelancer, is tied to the level you are currently as a designer. Someone who is considered a senior designer, not one who calls himself a senior. Someone who people consider to be a senior designer may charge probably $1 million for icon sets. Okay. You are just asking, I may not be able to charge more than 200,000 for the same icon set. A mid-level designer may be strong enough if he has strong negotiating power.
And this is an error.
And this is an error specifically. He might not be able to charge more than 600,000. But someone who is considered a senior designer might say it's not collecting less than $1 million. Because at that point, it's still a measure of trust and track record. They trust him to deliver, and his track record has proven that he can deliver. So it's not tricky per se, it's just understanding where you are and knowing how you want to go about charging for your work. So again, if you get exposed to high-paying clients, it's a different discussion entirely, which some people are lucky to have. What do I mean? It's more of a value system thing. If you find yourself in Nigeria where things are not, your creativity is not valued, people will not pay a premium for it. But outside the country where your creativity is valued, even the barest minimum will come at a very high price. So there's another thing of ensuring you are the right market. The right market does not necessarily mean physical location. Online, the people you are serving has to be the right market. People who are willing to pay a premium for your service. So that's a bit of artistic part to the business of design. That, even as much as there's a bit of structure to it, thankfully for people like Upwork, who help us know how to gauge the price of things, and people want to hire you and the price they are willing to offer. For the most important part, you have to know how much people are willing to pay outside of your geographical location for what you are doing. That gives you a proper sense. Why? Because a lot of people still fall into the trap. Some people want you to do their app, do their website, do their logo, do everything for them, and they're just offering $1 million for it. Here in Nigeria. Now, if you are not careful, you think that's the prevalent price. That isn't it. The brand alone is something you might, some people don't even charge $1 million, some people charge to the tune of $20,000. They don't charge in there. So, knowing where you are, knowing the market you want to serve. When I mean where you are, knowing the level you are, whether a junior, mid-level, or senior, knowing the market you want to serve, primarily. Those are like the two key variables I would consider to know how much you want to charge. And if you are not careful, you can find yourself in a ratchet system or a rat race. It's like a race to the bottom. You start charging 300,000 for website. By the time you work for this one and you do the work well, by the next people is going to recommend you to have people within the same income band who probably will want to charge, and he will even be telling them that if you price and well, you probably might even do it for you cheaper. And before you know it, the clients you are getting are low paying clients, and there's something that is as reassuring as the rising sun. Low paying clients are going to come after your life. Nobody argues it. Anytime it's a mistake, I know a lot of freelancers. Once you take in the work with, don't worry, it's my brother. Don't worry, I didn't know him. We are friends. We are close, and all. It never ends well. Be as professional. I say this from experience. Be as professional. Communicate as when due and all. So it's a race to the bottom. You start working for people who are paying you 500,000 for a work they are meant to pay you 5 million in a normal day. It is his own kind of people he's going to recommend you for. It's as simple as that. And before you know it, it's a downward spiral. The next person he's recommending you to is even thinking, why does he have to pay? And for that to tell you, that is the richest guy in our friend group. We don't have his own kind of money. Please just take 300,000. You say, okay, you need the money. And another thing I would like to segue into is a lot of designers need to learn to be hungry for a while till you meet the right clients. There are people you have to learn to say no to. So you say yes to the right set of people. Like, you have to free yourself up so that you have time for the high-paying clients who will value your work, constructively give you feedback, and will give you the exposure even after they are paying you. Not people who start insulting your mother middle of the night. That, are you the one who started business with them? So, it can be nasty. But there are a lot of nuance around it.
That's intense. What would you say is the value of design in business?
I'm happy because of the place we have gotten to. even as a design community, even in Nigeria as a country, people are starting to value design and branding very seriously. You know, I went to greet a friend at the cantonment, and he said that there's this officer I would notice who's always wearing a yellow leaf on his beret. Like you always find a yellow feather on his leaf, feather and not leaf on his beret, and he was telling him that he's the funniest guy in the cantonment. That we crack joke out of the most dry situation, out of situations that are completely unexpected. That is a fun to always have around. So the day I went to cantonment, I saw soldiers packed together. I think they were doing march past or something. They were practicing, and immediately I sighted someone with a yellow feather on his bed. Yeah. That story just clicked, and that's the first time in my life I realized how important branding is. All of them were all dressed up the same way. All of them were appearing the same way. But one way I could tell a difference
was that feather,
or I could tie a story to a person was just that feather. That's how important branding is. Branding is as important as internet identity. These days, not just internet, offline, online, it's the identity of the business, it's the front-facing part. It's what people would remember you with and for. So it's not just your logo. It's also the services that you render. And those things move the needle, because if people are going to recommend your business, there has to be some cues that they would use. There has to be some things they will remember you for. So branding is very key for the business. And also it makes the business top of mind. I may have remembered the story, but without giving me a distinctive feature of the soldier who he was talking about, I probably might not know who exactly we are talking about. So that's how important branding is for a business. It helps them set them apart in a very crowded market, especially among competitors. If you want to stand out, then your brand has to be different. Your tone of voice has to be different. Your customer perception has to be different. The way you respond to queries has to be different. So when I mean brand, I'm mentioning this not to let you know I'm not talking about logo alone.
Yes.
I'm talking about the overall service and how you are perceived by your customers. So it helps you. It can literally take a business from 0 to 10 overnight, from 0 to 10. How differently you do things that is memorable. That's what would count and definitely affect your bottom line.
What challenges do businesses face when they're trying to integrate design effectively? What are some challenges that you've seen certain kind of business face when they're trying to integrate designs effectively?
Ego. I don't think anything, I'm sorry you didn't expect that response. I don't think anything undermines design implementation process like ego. Designers have ego, but not as pronounced, not as profound, not as prominent as the owners of the business.
Is it pronounced, profound, or prominent? Which one? Or the all three?
Three of them all together, everything all at once. And sometimes it can be exhausting. You really have to trust the judgment of the person you are bringing in. They don't give you that, they don't deposit that trust in you. And because and it's also a testament to how terrible a lot of leadership styles are in the Nigerian business landscape. Our Nigerian business owners are equally terrible people, if I'm so bold to speak freely. It shows how they lead their team, how they communicate with their subordinates, with their workers. You will notice it because it will cascade into how they treat people who are brought in as independent contractors. It could be the developer, it could be the designers. You sort of get a glimpse of how they treat people who they work with, or people who work under them. Can be thoroughly condescending. Nothing undermines brand implementation process or the outputs like that. I think that is, if you take a survey, I can place a bet on it that should stand shoulder above all. You need a bit of wisdom, and you must know how to manage superiors to be able to handle most clients. It's terrible to say the least. Ego is something they need to tone down. You are bringing the design to me because you trust my judgment. And I am going to try not as well to help you implement what I think is best for your business. Now, it is not out of place if you think that, oh, this is not the direction you want. That is fine. But to now, at the end of the day, end up calling exactly what you want for your own business, I think undermines the whole reason why you came in the first place. And it's usually like that. It's also in communication manner. A lot of clients, the way they see designers as people beneath them is just something entirely. That's why I'm careful with the kind of people I work with. It shows in how they address you in the communication manner, communication pattern, in how they expect respect from you, but it's not the kind of respect they are willing to give. And once they pay you, they think it's just a license to treat you like rags. It's terrible, but it's it's again, all of these things are the traits of people who don't pay you well. If you make people who pay you well, they probably are very exposed, very understanding, very patient, and are willing to hear the merits of the arguments for why they should follow the direction for your design, for their business. They relinquish that autonomy to you that what do you think is the best way? I'm coming to you and I'm paying you this sum of money because I trust your judgment. See, the ones that don't pay well come with a lot of baggage of trouble and sleepless nights in between. I would not like to go for that.
I mean, I can say that quite a number of designers that I've spoken with have experienced the my wife doesn't like this design, those kind of things, right? And there was one time I was on a call with someone. It was a referral client, and I was asking about the stakeholders who would influence design decisions for the projects that we're about to launch in. Should I go on to take the project? One of the things were like, they're not very many. That's the response. They're not very many, just me and two other guys, they're developers and all. And so I think I asked the question, I can't remember exactly, but it was along the line of, so how would we, still that stakeholder kind of question. But I remember his response though, which was, when I see it, I'll know it. When I see good design, I'll know it. And so long I accept it, I don't think the other two guys would,
have a problem
and
with it.
To me, I was like, okay, that's kind of a red flag, to be very honest, because
irrespective of how we present it, is the sole decision maker.
Yes.
I think it's just buffering it with every other person. And I like to interject by saying that sometimes the red flag is not obvious at the beginning. Usually, when you go into the project, you start realizing that you're dealing with an insufferable person. And it can be very disheartening or demoralizing. So, but please carry on.
Yeah, so when I actually saw that thing, in fact, the project being delayed and everything, I had to, in a way, just distance myself and just...
A lot of time, the people, I don't know if part of the question I'm about to answer, but let me know that people sometimes they make a conflict or they confabulate in saying that, oh, I want it as simple as Nike. Sir, if you were the one who owned Nike and we made it as simple as Nike, you will reject it.
Who was I saying that thing to? Was he any... Okay, maybe it was before I came here.
Yes.
I was explaining to my content writer on the phone. Like, not that very many Nigerian clients, and I'm not trying to go outside, but not that very many would receive a logo like that, even if Nike never had it.
The reason why Nike logo is now more endearing, or Adidas. Nike, if we look at those three slash on Adidas.
Okay.
Look at those three, look at Nike. Look at Nigel. The reason why those logos are endearing now is primarily because the business have outlived
exactly
a lot of trials.
Exactly.
The business is prospering. The business is thriving. So a lot of those instances, they love the logo because they don't know. You don't like it because it's simple. You like it because it's a business that is making money.
Exactly.
They are cash positive.
Exactly.
And a lot of instances, you want your logo to do everything. You want your logo to bring in your customers, to increase your profits. That's not my work. My own work is to make it as clear as possible, to capture your business idea. That the business succeed or not is still tied to you, not me. Mine is to ensure that your logo does not get in the way of you making profit. If Nike did not make profit today, nobody would like that business.
I mean...
So, a lot of instances, one problem I also noticed is that Nigerian business owners want their logo to say everything. It's not possible. Look at Netflix. What about the TVs in Netflix, other than the arc at the base, which is quite intelligently done? Other than that, what do you look at it and makes you think that it's a streaming service? Nothing. Look at Apple. It's literally an Apple that is beating Apple.
Yeah.
Look at Samsung. I'm just letting you know that. Look at OnePlus. Let me not go too far. I'm just letting you know that a lot of the prominent businesses we look at and we like, and people look at and reference, and they say as simple as that. I swear that it's a trap. It's a never-ending circle of iteration.
Yeah.
You will keep, and a lot of them don't know how to articulate exactly what they want. So that's why I hear things like, when I see it, I will know it.
I don't know why that statement just turns.
It's a red flag because you are shooting in the dark. It's like they give you a target, but it's in the dark. And they are saying, keep shooting till you hit the target. Hit and miss, hit and miss, hit and miss. You get run out at some point and demoralized. I don't hate Nigerian clients, by the way.
That would lead me to ask the next question, which is, can good design alone guarantee the success of a business?
Yes.
How?
Airbnb. I mean, he's a design founder.
Yeah.
Amy, calendar, design founder. Family.co,
Family.
crypto app, design founder. They are not, Family.co is not doing anything new. It's coming to a space that Rainbow already is in.
Rainbow.
So there's already Rainbow, there's already MetaMask. What are you doing that is new or that is different? It's the design. Amy calendar, what are you doing that is new? It's the design. So I think I've often said it over time that if a business will thrive, there are two things you should look out for. Is there are coming with new design or they are coming with new technology? It has to be one of those two. If the technology is not new, the design has to be new. If the design is not new, then it had better be that you are giving us something like, look at ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a mouthful.
Yeah.
From the naming to the branding to everything that has to do with its appearance. It's a lot. But we don't mind. I mean, I remember when they launched the buttons, the sign-up buttons are the same. The sign-up and sign-in are literally the same buttons. There's nothing like design hierarchy. And people were like, how far now? But they got 1 million followers. I think they got 1 million people to sign up, I think, in the space of a week.
Wow.
So why did people not bother about the design? Because what the technology they are engaging with is as new as they come.
Yeah.
So if the business is not running on new technology, the business itself has to be running on new design. So people buy things that are beautifully designed, aesthetically pleasing. Yes, it works.
Yeah.
Design can improve the perception of your business. It can make your business thrive. If you rebrand and the brand is well received, your business can go from 0 to 10. I'll keep saying it. Design has its place in your business revenue model. So when things are well designed, well crafted, people interact with it and they can make a testament to this, that this person designed with a lot of thoughtfulness, with a lot of love behind it. Why not? It definitely would drive your business further. So yes, design alone can make your business move from 0 to 10. Now, if it will perpetuate the existence of your business, that one I don't know. That one I don't know.
That's great. That's great. It's time for a quick break. We will be right back after this break. Are you a designer looking to improve your design skills? Or do you already have commendable design skills, but you somehow don't know your stance in design theories? Or have you ever wished for a questionnaire that could help you test your design knowledge? That's where Simplified UX comes in. Simplified UX is your best bet at testing your design knowledge. Simplified UX is a platform that aims at helping designers to be more knowledgeable in what they do, as well as improving their design skills. If you've ever wished for a questionnaire that could help you test your design knowledge, simply log on to simplifiedux.com to join a pool of design talent who are actually polishing their design skills and knowledge. Interestingly, there are actually recruiters on Simplified UX who can actually notice your skill and help you learn good design rules. Simply log into app.simplifiedux.com and use my discount code DSP25 to get a 25% discount when you subscribe. Link in the description below. You're welcome back to the conversation. What role does user experience design play in shaping business outcomes?
It's key. It's key for one thing that, okay, so I was privileged to experience one user-focused interview where they asked someone they want to optimize the payment flow. Now, why is there a drop-off when people are trying to make payments at the end of the app, when they make purchases and they're trying to make payments? And at the end of the flow, the make payment is written in a thick font, bold and blue. So when they get there, I just noticed that we're in the other room observing the screens. The phone was connected to an HDMI output, so we're checking it. And then when they get to the make payment with, they were trying to encourage people to make payment with card more than they make payment with bank. So because with card you get to have more information about the kind of cards that were used, more financial information about the card that was used. With bank, all you know is just the bank, nothing more. And I wanted to know which service, financial service provider is being used, whether American Express, Visa, or MasterCard, or Verve. They wanted to know. So they noticed that pay with card and then pay with bank. Pay with bank is inside the button, but pay with card is a text button, meaning that it was written in the text, not inside the box.
Okay.
Thick blue. And they just noticed that people's hands were likely to go more to the left, which is the use bank, even after using pay with card is on the right. When they switched it, people were still going to the button much more than they were going to the text. And they needed to get data for card, not just bank. So when they finally switched pay with card inside the box, an actual button with a background, and then pay with bank was now switched with the blue text, they realized that people were clicking more on pay with card now, because now it's looking more like a button. And one of the lessons they took from it is, if they want to encourage people to pay with, if they want to get data by encouraging people to pay with card, then they have to place prominence on pay with card by making it look like a button and not just like a text. So when one of them asked, I came outside, I asked her, why don't they click the pay with card? And she said that it looked like an hyperlink, that's what you click to get more information about something. But that one looked like something you click to complete an action. So those were key information we received. Of course, I was not part of the business, but I was opportunity to witness it. And one thing I learned from there is, if they had not done that, they would just keep shooting in the dark. Hit and miss. So it really, really drives the business. User experience, checking how the flows happen, checking how people interact with your product. And by user experience, I believe that you are dealing with a physical product people interact with, or digital product people interact with. And observing how people interact with it can really unlock insights that just looking at data might not give to you. So I believe it's very key. It is very, very important. No business should joke with it. Observe how your customers interact with your digital product or physical product. Unaided and uninterrupted. You will unlock very important insights from there.
That's great. And from the designer's perspective now, what would you say are key factors or key things that the designer can take, key steps that designers can take to ensure that first they understand the business model that their client is saying, so that they can be able to deliver a more excellent service as designers?
I don't think designers appreciate how much of a polymath, on an average, most of them are polymaths. I don't think they understand what superpower that is for them. A designer knows about agriculture. Why? Because he has designed agricultural products. If he hasn't before, he has to go and read about the sector.
Yes.
A designer has to know about fintech and financial rules and regulations and the data protection rights and all of those things. Why? Because you are designing for fintechs. A designer has to know about education, rote learning, and how people work on cues to learn and to remember things. Why? Because you are designing for an edutech platform.
Yes.
A designer has to know about how loans are recovered, loan recovery processes, how to be proactive and not reactive in trying to get loans back. Why? Because you are designing for credit tech and insurtech. So, in a lot of ways, a lot of reading is required. And I'm talking about designers who put in the work and who actually read. They end up becoming people who have quite firm knowledge on an average on a lot of topics. Why? Because they have sort of moved from one sector to another, and so they are well-rounded. They are people you can converse with and they have something to say on, probably on any topic. This question becomes valid when you are dealing with designers that don't read or don't research. You have to read and research, especially when you're anticipating to get on a work. You go and read everything around the industry. Look at the big players in those industry, the businesses this sector want to work in, the people who are there and are thriving. What are the key vectors that are helping them make success? So those are the things you are going to research on. So researching as to whether you know it or not, whether you want or not, be part of your skill set or be inside your toolbox. You have to research, you did competitive analysis, and not just surface level competitive analysis. So these are the businesses you look like. And again, you have to project the potential success that business can become by looking at what they consider a standard in their industry, or a business leader, and say you can become the next so and so, become the next BlackRock in Africa if you are able to do so and so, or if you are able to put so and so together. So it is really underrated that an average designer is a polymath. If you are doing freelancing work and you are moving from one industry to another, you definitely will know a lot of things on average, about businesses. And other than that, another thing you should try to understand is what is the goal of the business owner primarily. Okay, so this is the industry you're trying to break into. Other than profits, what else are you trying to achieve? I mean, profits is the reason why you're in business. What are you trying to achieve? Those very key discussions set a precedence for the direction of your design, and also help you know what paths to take, especially when you're thinking of bringing in features or not, depending on the degree of autonomy you are given on the project, by the way. Sometimes they give you a detailed PRD to work with. So that settles it.
That's great. Pretty intense.
Am I?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's good because it's quite detailed. So basically, you're saying as a designer who wants to achieve that level of understanding so you can be able to deliver a more excellent service to your client, to do one thing, you have to know many things.
A lot of things. You wear multiple hats, whether like it or not. Designers read. If you don't read as a designer, you're just execution muscle. You're outsourcing your brain.
Is that a sub?
Yes. You're outsourcing your brain for the most part. And the only thing you only know is pixel perfect discussions. The person you are talking with is not interested in pixel perfect. He's saying, how will your design make me make money or help me make money? That's what they're interested in here, in numbers and narrative. They're not interested in you design for 40 devices. Okay, why? What's the end goal behind that? Oh, you design to ensure your design is platform agnostic. To what end? They're interested in numbers and narrative, so that your customers experience delight. Experiencing delight reinforces the need to always use you. NPS score increase because they will recommend you to other people. And what does this mean for your business? Goodwill, brand awareness, brand loyalty, brand affiliation. And what does this mean ultimately? Revenue. So you have to know how your work ties to their own revenue. That's why they came to meet you in the first place.
That's great. What would you say are some mistakes, common mistake, maybe not so common, but some mistake that designers make that actually can hurt the business part of their design or the business of whatever they are rendering their design services to?
So that's two questions. Yeah. So on the part of designers, being like the business of design for a designer, which means which affects how he makes money. Yeah. A lot of designers design out of. Okay, so let me explain that. I'm talking about different threshold of designers now. Okay. At a certain threshold, you should not be designing cheaply again. You are going to be hurting your future references. At a certain threshold where you are recognized as you are able to deliver, you have paid your dues, you have done all the free designs you want to do, you have gotten the exposure. Please don't do free design again, because you might not be able to handle the heat that comes from doing cheap designs. It hurts them a lot because a lot of people out of need or financial constraints it's a poor judgment call. They are suboptimal decisions they make at that point. Why? Because you need money. And because you need money, you of course you get the upfront payment and you settle whatever bills are outstanding. But I tell you that whatever trouble is going to come from that work will offset the benefit of getting the money upfront. Because you realize you are dealing with an insufferable person. So most times people just do it because they need to survive. Again, the question of any logical person is, who am I to judge? Who am I to complain? Is it that I'm bringing work for them? Nonetheless, I would say free up your time so that you can get high-paying clients who give you little to no trouble. The problem is always because you need that constant cash flow. And so you keep taking clients you are not meant to. Clients you know that they are not red flag, they are red bed sheets. Front, up and center, you don't mind. All you are saying is that it's just to give him his work. You will learn your lesson so. And probably you might learn it to a point where you will not be able to recover from. That's on one hand. Yeah. You want to say something?
Yeah, I really love the fact. So I really love the fact that in as much as the fact has to be stated, and you're stating the fact that don't just settle for cheap clients. You are also you're standing on a very solid foundation that I understand why most will settle for cheap client because they have bills to pay and the likes of that.
Yes.
That being said, it shouldn't be right. In as much as who am I to judge? I'm not going to bring work for you. But in the long run, this thing will still hurt you. And I really love that you're balancing that. I wanted to point that. I love that you're balancing
It will hurt them at the long run. And they might have peace of mind at the short term for not having the people who are required to pay the bills come at your neck or come for you, but the project doesn't usually end well. I say this because I've seen it happen so much, I've experienced it too. And the second part is a lot of designers are caught up in their design bubbles. They don't understand the uniqueness of the business and the design required. So don't jump on a design trend and introduce it into a current task you are running, or because you are trying to please designers, or you want another designer to see the work and say, "Ah, no, he did well." From a design perspective, yes, but from a business perspective, are you designing to fit the use case? So the error designers do for people's business is that you are trying to please another designer and not solving an actual problem. You are designing it so when you post shots on Dribble or on any design platform, people will like it and say, yes, you did incredibly well, but is that actually solving the problem? So sometimes we introduce trends where it is completely not necessary. You bring in design trends to your current project and it is not serving any meaningful purpose. And sometimes we are just trying to make it aesthetically pleasing without it being functional. So yes, designers can, and this occurs across all designers by the way, can fall into the error of design for the sake of aesthetics and not for actually solving a problem. We tend to become guilty from time to time. A profound understanding of the business lets you know what to strip off from your design, what is not needful and what is. And most designers are not usually patient to understand that.
It's a truthful saying that every true firm will know what they want, have an objective, and they have goals. Now, you as a designer who's coming on board, what step do you think would you say a designer should take to ensure that their process of delivering an effective and well designed that solves problem, what step would you say they should take to ensure that my process of delivering my designs aligns with the goals and the objective of the business?
There should have been an agreement from the outset. Break down the business into the work you are doing into milestones and delivery dates. You don't joke with it. No matter how close you are with the client, it's not for the client's sake, but for your own sake, so you don't slack. We can be sometimes careless as designers, where we don't deliver in good time and we don't communicate in good time. I learned my own lessons too. So it's something we should do instinctively. Have an agreement and break down the design into tasks with delivery dates. It makes you know that, oh, there's an expectation. Someone is waiting for you to deliver at a particular time. After that has been approved, you move on to the next thing. After that has been approved, you move on to the next thing. It makes it incredibly easier when it comes to the matter of process. And you set your terms and conditions. Is the money refundable? If it's not refundable, then they know from the get-go. If it's refundable, what percentage is refundable? Is it that it's 100% refundable? You let them know. So those are the things they should factor in.
Mentally guilty of that.
Good to know. Hope you change.
I will. Hope so. Change. And brand positioning for the designer. This is for the designer in this case, not just brand positioning, but positioning yourself as someone who actually understands the business part of design. And this would require experience. This would require, exposure, right? In one case. So how can designers position themselves to be, not necessarily, you are not faking it, but you've studied the business, you've done this, you've done that. But you have little to no experience in real-time world. How can they meet up to that standard?
I've told people a lot to push out good works. Keep pushing out good works. I cannot believe I'm having to use that terminology, fake it till you make it. But yeah, keep pushing out good works. Design around the industries you like to work for. Research around it. It's funny how when you start researching, you start getting insights. You start understanding why they are the way they are currently. You start knowing problems you can solve. And probably one of the businesses would consider what you are doing and bring you on board. But yes, if you know you want to work for a sector, start designing around that sector and be consistent so you become top of mind. It's a silver bullet. It works most times. take on that makes you position yourself as a designer in that sector. But if you want to be sector agnostic, design around as many sectors as possible that you find interesting. It might not, your design might not be perfect, but as long as you keep at it, that practice, that 10,000 hour practice is going to, the dues will be paid and you will greatly improve your design skills. It works. It works all the time. Just put yourself out there.
Okay.
That's all.
Since we're really talking about the business of design, let's touch a bit on negotiation for designers. And this is one big stress, one big struggle. I've had an instance where someone reached out to me saying, how much should they charge for a brand design project that someone is requesting for them to render that service to them? And what do I deliver for a brand design project? What are my deliverables? I'm not trying to hoard prices. The money is, these things have to go figurative. I mean, it's just like two people are walking on the street and they're imagining, say, let's imagine we see 1,000 naira, how much will you give me, how much will I take? And this one say, I'll take 700, give you 300, and they start fighting. This money is not there, so I'm not trying to hoard anything. But I did not feel the need to respond because you don't even know what deliverables you would be delivering, right? And you're wanting to know how much I charge. So if you say that, just like what you said, if you charge what I charge, you may not necessarily be in that state to deliver that kind of thing. And I'm not trying to underestimate anybody here. I'm just trying to be logical. Let's come back to the question now. How should designers up their game during negotiation as they go along in their business?
This is where community matters, and having close friends who are equally designers. Sometimes you know you're undercharging when you hear the price some of your friends are charging. Friends that you design the way they do. You are quite contemporary when it comes to design skill sets. And then you realize that you have been greatly undercharging or greatly doing yourself a disservice. So
this is Nigeria.
Yes.
Okay, go on.
So one of the things I would say is you also should be very confident in your delivery and know what you can do and what you can't do. And sometimes you should factor in if you need to outsource any part of the brand design project that your own skill set don't cover for, and how much the person who is going to do it may be accounting for or may want to get. So sometimes you do it ahead, or sometimes you just you add that ballpark to your own total payment. If you want to negotiate, there's a trick I use in my own head. I will tell you a price, but I have a minimum price, a minimum threshold you can't go lower than. Once you go lower than that, we don't have a discussion. That applies to me. I might tell you a brand design project, I want to collect 8 million naira for it. If you tell me you don't have 8 million naira, in my head I'm saying, you're not going lower than 5 million. If you go lower than 5 million, with the scope you have mentioned, I'm not doing it. There are people who are more than willing to do it for the price of 800,000. I will even do UI UX, we won't do a landing page. I probably might recommend them for you, and they might be happy doing it. But that may not be the standard of work you want, but that's what your money can afford. I'll make it as clear as possible. So 2 ways: you get the service while knowing the service you may get, and then my fellow designer gets a gig that is suitable for his own stage where he's currently. So that's my own approach to it. Or if you feel like I'm above your budget, I can recommend someone who probably will take lower. But most times they don't want you to recommend someone, they want you to do. And I'm always like, no, that band can't work with me, especially with the scope here. If you are telling me it's just logo and probably just illustration, the illustration is no more than 10 pieces, probably may still, and just a bit of brand expression, we may still be looking at that price. But so there's a threshold. I'm just speaking hypothetically. I'm not giving actual figures. There's a threshold that I don't go lower than. That's what I do for negotiation, and I stand by it. I'd rather sleep and wake up and not have anybody's work doing, but doing what I want to do, than doing a work that I feel like I cheated myself. I'm doing this person a disservice because now I'm not putting a lot of my heart into what I'm supposed to do. So I give you a price, but at the back of my mind, there's a price I will not go lower than, not even by 100,000.
And for designers who currently feel like I've taken up the project that I feel like I cheated myself on the negotiation part, that guilt can really crush a man down. I've been in that state before.
You will finish it.
Yeah, of course, yes. You have to.
How you will finish it? Your word is your bond. You will finish it.
You have to. But how do you move past that?
You edge against it by ensuring your next project it doesn't repeat itself. That's all. it's you are kind of a skilled milk. That has happened. You will finish it. Even if you have to finish it in tears, you will finish it. Because except if you are willing to refund the money, which I've done a lot of times. I've refunded money. When sometimes when the client is not when he's not pleased with how project is going, I always put the option up that, oh, I've not touched your money. I'm more than willing to refund it. And sometimes the client is displeased that, oh, we didn't have this agreement, we didn't have that agreement. Oh, refund, instantly I refund. One thing I don't do is I always remind my clients, I'm not a thief. If you want your money back, irrespective of what the scale of work that has been done, if you want your money back, I'm more than willing to give you. It's something I take pride in. I ensure I have not spent money to the point that I spend out of the client's fund, even if you have to pay 80% ahead. It's just sitting there looking pretty. At the end, I know it's entirely mine when you pay your balance. But before then, at any point in the design, this might not apply to anybody, but to me, at any point in the design journey, you feel like this project is a waste of each other's time, I'll gladly return the money. Something I have a track record of returning money. I don't joke with my peace of mind. Not at this point in my life.
Boss.
Okay.
Boss. I want you to touch on upfront payment. In as much as we are not trying to create the standard here, but what would you suggest? 50%, 70%, 30% upfront payment? I
would say it should not be lower than 60%. You receive more than 50%. Don't make it lower than 60%. What am I saying is to reassure that person is really, really committed. If he pays you 50 because he doesn't have it complete yet, fine. That's a different case. But if he has the money complete, I will even say 80. Just pay 80. That is his own commitment. You are no longer bothered about this person flipping on you. Because he has paid you more than 50%. He's not going to ghost, he's not going to run away. And also that reassures you that he's able to complete payments. Because what he has to balance now is not as much as what he has paid. And also to reassure you that a lot of expectation and trust has been deposited on you. You don't also joke when you're speaking to the client and he has made 60% or 80% upfront payment or downright 100%. You know you have to deliver in good time. So I would also say don't go below 60. Make it clear that our 60% down payment is to reassure you that these people are serious and they are not flipping or they are not gambling with you. Because sometimes you say 50%, another person say 50%, and they are getting. Okay, it has only happened once. Where you say 50%, they pay the guy 50%, the remaining 50% they used to pay another designer. So they were getting two people to deliver a work and then they decide which design is better off. The one that is better off, they complete the 50% payment, and then the one that is not better off, they ask them to refund the 50%. Wow. It has happened just once, by the way. So sometimes just insist that 80% or 60%, depending on who you are, and there's no formula to it. Depends on who you are and your track record and experience. Some people just tell you to make payment upfront. That they are the point where there's nothing to run or hide from. You get your work at
Let's touch. We've talked a lot on the designer's side of view. I want us to talk about the client now, right? The client, and this is still the business of design. I want us to specifically talk about clients with bad character and how their bad character has shape-shifted the whole design because of maybe whatever their ego, whatever reasons.
Ego.
It's making the success of the business struggle because of their ego. And this is stressing the designer on this level.
Again, a lot of business owners are terrible people. People don't know that if you are a terrible person, you become a terrible leader, a terrible friend, a terrible husband. Every other thing you wear, any title you wear, just remember to put terrible in front. It's the truth. You are not becoming a business person does not automatically absolve you of all the traits of being terrible. People will find out. They have to work close with you. They will find out. They have to jump on a call recurrently with you. They might not know from a one-off contact, but recurrently you start to realize the kind of person you are dealing with. And quite a number of persons lack emotional intelligence. The ego is very blinding. They exist in their own bubbles, and probably sometimes they have worked with people who they are beating them into psychophancy. The yes sir, yes ma'am, just giving what you want kind of people. And nobody from time to time tells them that, oh, but there can be a better perspective, or there can be a different outlook on these things. No matter how constructive it is presented, it is seen as a challenge. You are challenging the authority after they paid you. And also it's tied to a lot of cultural problem we are experiencing, especially in Nigeria, where people pay and think that because they are paid with a license to speak very carelessly to you, or to speak in a derogatory manner to you. So yes, they are terrible clients and we are not in short supply of them in Nigeria. Terrible people, as terrible as they come. And you just need to be watchful to pick up nuances. I have my own traits I look out for, especially now that I've had a truckload of experience working with terrible people. When they are hungry, how do they talk? That's far more important to me than any other thing. Because yes, at some point your clients will be displeased with how the work is going. How do they respond? It's not going to be blissful and rosy. Yeah. How do they respond when they're angry? Are they the kind of people who weigh the things they say when they're angry? Or there are people who fire out carelessly? How do they talk to their workers who join them on the call with you? How do they regard them? How do they address discrepancies? When there's some sort of clash in interests, how do they relate with you? Those are the things that are weighty, that matter. How do they handle instances where it seems as though they are being challenged, even if it is not like that? But even when it is perceived to be so, what is their response? Those are the things that will let you know if there can be a long-term relationship subsisting between you and this person or not. Especially when you are working for them. Because if they are shouting at other people, but their voice is calm at you, one day,
it will raise.
It will raise. It will scream at you. If they are insulting people's mother on the call, one day, it will be your mother's turn. So those are the things you should look out for. And here again, we have terrible people. And a lot of them, ego is far weightier than their knowledge. It's me, and it's what I say that matters. There are instances where I've told a client, the better route to do something is A. The client refuses and says, no, I want B. Say, no, voila. That evening, the client came back and said, okay, let's do B. And instead of the client to acknowledge that, oh, I was wrong, he's still insisting that it's because I have said B, we do B. It's as simple as that. And you know you are dealing with an insufferable person. That's not a red flag. It's a red towel. It's not a flag. It's bigger than a flag. And it is soaking danger. So there are instances like that where a client starts telling you, it is what I want you should do. Your opinion doesn't matter in this case. Your opinion doesn't count. I have paid you. As I keep saying, I can refund money. When I start realizing I'm dealing with an animal, I refund the money. I just refund the money instantly. I don't like...
I'm not supposed to laugh.
No, you will cut that part out.
I won't.
A lot of them, when they pay you and the way they address you, hey, it gives you an insight into how they work with people. And it's as toxic can be. It's thick with toxicity. I don't know if I call that correctly. Yes. But I'm angry. It's as toxic can be. I'm saying this. You see how some of them address their workers? Hi. Supposed technocrats. Whoa. Supposed enlightened people of the society. Supposed luminaries. They are terrible as terrible can come. When I notice that these are the kind of people, that's why I'm the one who select my clients. A lot of people reach out to me in DM that the one I say, I know. I know you, sir. I'm some the work, and I don't like conflict. I try to avoid it, conflict and confrontation. I don't like it because the outcome is usually uncertain, but I can be confrontational. I don't shy away from being confrontational, but I avoid getting to that point as much as possible because the outcome, people will not be civil. People just start becoming very condescending and repugnant. So I would rather we don't get to that point. So I try to avoid it by being as docile as possible, as understanding as possible, as accommodating as possible. And that's why I keep saying it. A designer should be able to refund money as early, especially except and only if you have had an agreement that your money is not refundable. Written in paper, then you may take a walk. Oh, this is the value of the work I've done so far. This is the balance you are going to be getting. At this point in time, the perceived incompatibility in our work is too pronounced and it's not allowing us to make it. Consequently, I would like to refund a certain portion of your money, saying that we are not made progress so far as a result of these perceived differences. It's been a pleasure working with you, and I hope you find the right fit. I mean, you just let go as professionally as possible. It's not wise. Let them go and meet people who charge higher, who probably would never allow you to raise your voice at them in the first place. So that's my 2 cents on it. Wow. It's terrible. Countless experiences, terrible.
Toxicity. A terrible client.
When they say client from where?
Client with bad characters. That's basically it.
It's a lot. Some people, they don't know how to. A lot of people have anger management issues. And you will find out when you start working with them. Again, a terrible person It's the same with a terrible CEO, a terrible husband, a terrible friend, a terrible co-worker. Anything that person does with the title, just remember to put terrible at the front. You are not above your natural instincts. You are not.
Wow. I think you've said it all. There's nothing that I can add. Recommend some books for us as that designers should look out for to enlighten themselves.
As per design or business?
Business, sorry, we're talking about the business. Okay, design and business. The business of design, so design and business.
Okay.
Both design, both business.
For businesses, I don't think I have. The books I read are quite wide for business. I'm sorry, I might not have a response to that. The books I read are quite wide. They are thoroughly economics, and I may not have a response to that. But books on design, yes. 100 Things to Know About Human Beings, one book I'll keep recommending over and over again. And if you also read on book on design, you can go on I don't know if the website is still up, Better Designer, Design Better. Go to their book section, you'll find a lot of documents that are very resourceful there. Design Better by Envision, you'll find a lot of resources that are very, very useful for designers, especially designers who want to understand business and management and leadership and other adjacent things that are tied to design. You'll find it there.
Closing thoughts. Share something for designers. Anything at all. There's no question, there's no restriction. With respect to, as much as there's no question, no restriction, but with respect to the business of design.
The opposite of what I was talking about the clients.
Okay.
A good designer, as a person, try to become incredibly better. It dovetails into how you work with people. Except if you are not going to be communicating with the person, or you might not have to manage people. Managing people is something we underrate greatly as designers. And you can't manage people if you are not, as a person, you are not seeking to constantly improve yourself. You deal with some people that are insufferable. But how you'll be able to scale through unscattered or without being problematic boils down to how much of personal development you have experienced as a person, not designer. And I'm not talking about designing. As a person, how much of personal development have you done? How can you handle instances where people are derogatory to you? Do you fire back at them? Or are you careful in how you respond? Do you know how to respond instructive? Can you give instructive response that are not necessarily derogatory? Can you make people know that the statement they made, you consider it condescending? However, this is not you coming back at them, but this is just you making it clear that we can have discussions and communication with clarity without necessarily including insults. You're an adult, I'm an adult. You may well be older than me, and you may be paying me, but that is not a license for you to speak with me in such manner. How do you handle such instances? You can't. You may not be able to if you are not developed as a person. So you have to have a better outlook on life. You have to be well read. So you can communicate grievances to your clients without necessarily being derogatory or making it look like you are retorting back at them. And sometimes it helps them rethink, helps them reflect that, okay, they are dealing with someone that they cannot push around. Or they are dealing with someone that they cannot just speak to carelessly. You are just not just another color dropper. Sorry for people with color drop. Whoa! At the junction, I just speak to one. If designers do that regularly, it will probably change the general perception they have on us. Now, once you pay them, it's a license to just treat them like less than human beings. So I think a lot of designers also need to, as much as possible, quickly go out of that phase of just designing for money. It calls for a lot of things that sometimes we suffer from, because some people come to you with the mindset of, is it not your mate that just paid for so and so, or that is it not your mate that just designed? I don't know who that person is, and frankly, I identify with the person's problem, but don't project that on me. So designers should try and reduce the rate at which they design for survival and start designing for passion. Thank you.
Wow. In as much as everything you said really is very, very essential and very important, what is really sticking to my head right now is one of the phrases you said about client now insulting your mother. I don't know why that thing just stick to my head, and it's very funny.
No, yeah, I've had incredibly derogatory statements from clients who, I was in a friend's apartment and he was on a call with the clients, and his headphone was misbehaving, Apple headphone. Apple headset. So it was misbehaving and they had to pull it off, and then I was hearing, and the man was saying that he was using the F word on him, and then he did not stop there. He said that from him to his family to everybody significant about him, that the work has to be delivered tomorrow. I know I called and I said, he's out of the country now, by the way. I said,
excuse me, I'm not supposed
even if you know rate your mama, I mean, did you get to this point?
No, I'm not supposed to laugh. I don't know. Excuse me, I'm not supposed to laugh.
It's ingrained in our, it's a cultural thing. I don't know. That's why I said this is where you start to know. It's a cultural deficiency that is dovetailing into how people work. And I say it's culture because that's how they treat their workers. Is your father is it your father that is paying my business? Is it your father that set up my business for me? You hear such statements. Now, what do you mean by this is the best shot? I said I don't want it, I don't want it. Is it your father that owns the business? I've heard it happen so many times. The man think about it, the man smile that you can't do this to a professional individual. By the time they sue you and your business first. But you know, when they know that you're doing this because you need money to survive,
yeah,
you have given them a license to speak with you carelessly. I'll speak to you first.
Stand on their mercy.
A lot of Nigerians don't know how to handle power. Let's not go into the politics of this.
That's another topic we should consider having, the politics of the law. Thank you very much for being on the session with me. I really appreciate it.
I'm happy I'm not tired of having
No. It's been an honor having you on this show. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Designstration.
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 Designstration.